When Republicans took control of the House this past January, and they passed all their new rules about how Congress was going to run, one of the new rules was that they would take a full week off for every 2 weeks they worked. Sweet! Tons of time home in the district, which for a member of Congress must be awesome. Unless, of course, the last thing you did before heading home to your district for your spring recess was voting to end Medicare, voting for the Paul Ryan budget plan, a budget which is making for lots of very uncomfortable encounters between Republican members of Congress and their now very angry constituents. Paul Ryan himself, who represents a district in Wisconsin, you'll recall him getting booed by his constituents last week when he tried to defend the parts of his plan that call for really big tax cuts for the rich and an end to Medicare. Well, today, Congressman Ryan held yet more town hall events in Wisconsin. We got a heads up from one of our Wisconsin viewers that some of the Paul Ryan events this week were being moved to larger venues in order to accommodate the number of people who wanted to go tell Paul Ryan what they thought of him and his plan. When we found out that one of those overpacked Paul Ryan town halls was happening today in Kenosha, I asked our producer, Mike Yarvitz, who was watching the tape from that event, I asked Mike if there was any way to tell from the tape what the balance of the crowd was, whether it was a lot of people turning out because they supported Paul Ryan or whether it was a lot of people turning out because they were not supporting Paul Ryan. And Mike just turned to me after he saw the tape and said, do you just want to listen to the questions that Paul Ryan got asked once the mic was opened? Yes, Mike. Yes, I do.
You want to take a publicly administered program such as Medicare and turn it over to a private corporation. Well, tell me how my grandma's going to benefit from that. Yeah, no, it's a fair question.
You're asking the elderly to take on the insurance companies when we can't take on the insurance companies.
Right, so.
Do you know anything about Medicare?
Well, I'm not on it, no.
That's what I'm driving at.
When I look at your budget, I see you cutting the things that I agree with, entitlement programs, but I don't see you doing across-the-board cuts with the military.
It's not that hard to find savings and cut programs on the backs of the poor, of the underprivileged, of those without lobbyist groups, and those without clout. I read this piece of document and I saw nothing that really speaks to helping those who are already not able to make ends meet.
Do not renew the Bush tax credit for the wealthy. Tax corporations and overseas profits and bring the jobs home. Place a windfall tax on oil companies and rescind the $4 billion subsidy. I'll debate these points anytime with you. Just call me. My number is 262.
What was the last 97 what?
Welcome home, Congressman Ryan. In terms of the size of the crowd at that event today, Politico.com reported that, quote, at least 200 people were left outside once the 300-seat auditorium filled to capacity. Mr. Ryan himself said the crowds were larger than those during the infamous August 2009 healthcare town halls about health reform, larger than 2009. In the Paul Ryan case, you could hear that earnest Wisconsin crowd, could not have been more civil, even as they were being so very highly critical of him. But if you've been thinking that this might finally become a national story, these Republicans getting yelled at by their constituents, it might finally become a national story only if the town halls become rollicking, only if they become rollicking shout fests where people are visibly mad, that threshold, too, has been crossed in Florida today. This is freshman Republican Dan Webster of Florida having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day with his constituents today in Orlando.
Not one senior citizen is harmed by this budget.
What?
You're a liar!
Everyone under 55 is slurred.
What insurance company is going to insure me? You tell me.
None.
He wants to repeal the pre-existing. So wait a minute, let me answer. What insurance company is going to?
I promise you, not only will Medicare not go broke, which it will under the current
I won't have it. What does it matter?
You understand? Medicare's going to go broke. We are offering.
Who cares? I won't have it.
You will have it if this plan's adopted. You will.
Congressman, why did you vote for a budget to privatize Medicare, cut VA benefits, and turn around and gave away in tax cuts, not just to corporations, to the highest personal rates? And that's the reason you don't worry, you're not caring about the deficit. You wouldn't have gave away all those tax cuts. Because it's everything. We can't afford it anymore.
11% unemployment. So with these stupid policies of 12 years have done nothing for the people in Florida, why would you go for the Ryan budget that will put that same policy in the other 49 states?
Welcome home, Congressman Webster. As we talked about on last night's show, this sort of thing is engendering a bit of a Republican freakout right now. House Republicans held a conference call today privately to try to help their members have better messaging about how to discuss their vote for the Paul Ryan Republican budget with their constituents. But beyond the Republican Party itself, the corporate-funded big money part of the conservative movement is not freaked out about the kind of thing you just saw. They don't get freaked out. They rather are mounting a counteroffensive, a big, expensive counteroffensive to try to quash the story of this grassroots anger that you just saw expressed against Republicans who voted for the Paul Ryan Republican budget. We're actually going to have a special report on that counteroffensive on tomorrow night's show. We've already started working on it. I've seen some of our preliminary findings on it. It is mind-bending. When the right freaks out now, the right spends lots and lots and lots and lots and unimaginably lots of money in order to get their way.